Alrighty, welcome back everybody to the 17th week of our project developing course in the programming language of Python, a Tech Bytes program where every single week we are continuing to make way on a new project, advancing our programming skills every single week. We've already finished 3 projects, and with this month of May, we've been working on a 5-week project, which we'll continue to talk about this week, keep on making more progress with that, expanding what we can make. But as usual, thank you so much for coming out here today, and we got to get started off with the usual Quote Wars and Meme Wars. You guys know who we are, guys. Ryan Sneaky, a senior at Conan High School, and today this is my meme saying somebody's going to ask you later down the line, what's your degree in? I'll say computer science. One of my relatives is going to say my printer or my cell phone isn't working, and I'm going to say mine either. Because sometimes it's a common idea. People think that if you have a degree in any technical field like computer science, engineering, whatever the case might be, that you're an expert in all technical fields. You can solve their printer, you can fix your computer, you're an IT support guy and doing it all. So that's something which you'll probably see more often than not come about when you're studying programming.
All right, and my meme, I will not say anything about it. I'll let you guys read it out loud or in your minds.
Lobby wins. Lobby wins.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I already knew this
Mr.
guy.
Bean.
He already won. He
Mr.
didn't even beat
Bean
it, he already won.
triumphs.
That's a cheat code.
Labdi wins, but
Oh,
Ryan gets a medal for realistic.
Yes,
Ryan
Ryan gets a realistic.
Ryan gets the medal for like he's kind of simple, but it has a lot of meaning.
Wow, Manish, that means a lot. Thank you.
When the meme is meaningful.
Yes. Okay. Well, SpongeBob might have to make an appearance next week then to win this. Well, lobby. Well, let's move on, guys, towards this week's events. And all of us are already signed up in the Google Classroom, which is good. But if you're not, be sure to jot that code down and get signed up. But this week, we're going to continue to make way on our population simulation, which we've been working on for the past 2 weeks now. Remember, basic idea, we're creating a population of people using our old concepts of classes, objects, creating those people, and then random events will happen to those people. We're going to see some survival of the fittest and seeing how many people survive and continuing to make way with those.
all right, and today we are going to be doing what Ryan just said, starting our work on creating the events function. These will be the random events happening in the lives of the people that we we created last week. And we're going to recap class functions before we do start working on events functions, because that's part of a class. And
let's do a quick recap. Remember last week, guys, we started to add some new functions in our classes. Now, these were 2 specific functions we added because we wanted to extract some information about our objects. Remember how previously we've created objects and we haven't really changed anything about them. But now, last week, we introduced some new functions. One is called an accessor and one is called a mutator, which allow us to change the values we'll see in the code as well about our objects. So remember, an accessor, guys, is a function which just returns the value of a variable. It just spits back a value, whatever we want it to. Like, for example, we'll see in the code as well, but we had a accessor called tell us the people's age. So whenever I call that function with our object, it'll tell me the age of the person object. Now, on the other hand, something which we haven't worked on yet is something called a mutator, which we'll start to dip into today, where it's a function which can change the value of a person's variable. So say we're talking about, in our example, the person's health. That's something which will probably change. Today, we can do some random events. If something happens to a person, maybe with even COVID-19, then their health is going to deteriorate, right? Their health is going to go down. So we say their health, we got to change it. They got COVID. They're about to go from super healthy to a 1. From a 5 to a 1, they're potentially in the hospital, right? Well, then we got to change the value of their health. And the way we do that is using a mutator. Now, we'll take a quick look at an example which we have, but how about we have you guys tell us which one is which. So I'm going to take that off. All right, so this first function we all know is the initialize function. This is just so that when we're creating our object initially, it's there to initialize, take in the parameters, it creates the actual object. Now let's do a quick little speed round right here. Who can tell me what is this first function, get with?
Accessor.
Yep, Avanish already. What is, and why is it Avanish an accessor?
First of all, because I remember you said it only had like one line of code, and then the second of all, it just after like get with self, it says like return itself.
Exactly. Yep. So just like Avanish was saying, guys, our accessor is just responsible for returning information. It doesn't do any calculations, usually anything of that sort. Now, who can tell me what is get height?
Again,
Yep. So somebody other than Avanish now, tell me, what is get area? Is it an accessor or a mutator? Look at what's going on inside.
Accessor.
Anybody have a differing opinion? So Chase, remember, an accessor, we're just returning information. We're not doing any calculations, you know what I mean? So if we have get area, we're doing a calculation, right? We're doing the length times the width of the rectangle. So if I'm doing a calculation, would that change your opinion?
Oh, I just thought it was a accessor because it had get in it. It sounds like something you're trying to access, that you'd use to access.
Okay, yeah. Just remember that when they're both, usually when we're working with accessors and mutators, we usually like to differentiate, but in this case, you're right, it would be nice to differentiate, but in this case, like Avanish, you're saying mutator, the reason is we're doing a calculation, changing some values, and then what about get parameter, perimeter? Accessor or mutator? Yep, already saying a mutator, and then we also need that return statement, which we'll probably finish up. So that's the main difference. Remember, accessor mutators, we'll see how they come into play today as well. So now let's do a quick recap of what we did last week, and let's get starting coding for today. We'll drop the link towards our Replit in the chat for the usual.
I must be the first. If it wasn't a contest, it is now.
Well, here, 1, 2, 3, go.
I'm in.
Ooh.
No, I had to sign in with Google.
Oh. First person was Talos. Who's that?
That's Chase.
That is Chase.
Okay, Chase, tell us. Here we
Yeah.
go.
Chase was logged in and ready to go.
He had his hand ready. He was about to hit that link right away.
I had the chat up
2000
as I was talking.
2000 IQ.
I was talking with the chat on. So like, well, I was waiting for it to post.
Like your mouse is ready. Your cursor was literally on the spot it was gonna pop up.
I'm not gonna lie, it was.
Alrighty, well, guys, let's do a quick little recap of.
Computer's not working.
Oh no! Can you hit the link?
Can't get the Replit.
Uh,
Says you're joined.
Give
I
it a
know,
couple
but
of
I'm
seconds.
stuck in Zoom. I can't get to Chrome.
Try pressing escape.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I still
Alright.
can't do it. I don't know. Maybe I'll just be looking at the screen.
Emily, maybe try hitting the Zoom screen and
Try
then.
again. Yeah, try again.
Oh, I'm okay. Thanks.
Great. Alrighty, guys. So a quick recap of what we've been doing in the past couple of weeks. Firstly, we got our usual thing we learned about a bunch now. A class. We got the initialize function with all of our instance variables being initialized. The person's name, age, gender, COVID health, a bunch of the variables you guys can read right there. And then we are, before I get to the functions, we have a population object array. And this array is responsible for holding all of the people objects. You guys can see right here, this is where we are randomly creating our people. And then this is where we are adding the people to our array. Now, we also last week started to add some of the functions we talked about today called accessors. The reason why these are all accessors is because we are returning information about the person object without changing any information about them, which is why you can see it's just one line of code returning whatever the instance variable is. But now, this week, we're going to start. We already got step 2 finished. Step number 1 is finished about as well. Time to start working on step number 3, that being the events function, the actual meat of the project where we're going to see what happens to people and who survives based on any given events which happen. So only one way to get started off with this idea is to write a function. So def, we'll call it events, add your parentheses, colon. There we go.
Something's wrong with my computer again. My dad pretty sure knows how to fix it, so I'll be right back.
All right. So remember, guys, with our event function, the main goal is to go day by day and have conditionals which will check for random events. Now, these random events will be different and they will affect certain variables about our objects, such as the person's COVID-19 status. How will that affect their health? If they're feeling low, how will that affect their health? So looking at how everything will be affecting a person's health and stuff like that. So what we're going to do is think about this. How long do we want the simulation to sort of go for? What if we do maybe 30 days? We can start off with about 10 days. We'll go through 10 days initially, and each day will have certain events which will happen. We'll see some of our population decrease as well. Now, the way we're going to do this, guys, who can tell me what's a good idea? We know how many times we want to iterate. What programming concept would be a good idea to use right here?
A loop.
Yep. And Avanish, can you tell me which one I'm going to use?
For loop.
Exactly. And go for the slam dunk. Why?
Because you want to repeat it for 10 days.
Exactly. So like Avanish said, we know how many times we're going to run this loop, so we'll go 10 days.
3 points.
What happened?
It's a slam dunk.
Oh, all right. Well, so we'll say our loop. So we're going to go for x in a range of 10 days, the 10 representing 10 different times we're going to loop over. And now what we can do is firstly just print out. We can say current day is, so that we have an idea of what day we're on. We'll print out the variable x because that's going to tell us what day we're on. And then what we can start doing is actually, oh, remember, since our loop is going to start at the value of 0, we can say that the current day is x plus 1 so that we can see 1 through 10, because right now it's going 0 through 9 for indexes. Remember that?
I am back.
Yeah, because that's just the way it is in programming.
Yep. So we'll get that. And now we can start doing stuff with our people object array and start off with some random events. So we're probably going to use our
Rand range?
Yep, rand range again. So firstly, we got a variety of things which can happen in a person's day. So they could either be good things, they could either be bad things. What are you guys gonna go with first? Look at the positive or the negatives?
Negatives.
All right.
Actually, let's just do positives for the video. Let's just do positives. Because plus overweighs minus.
All right, that's the mentality. So we'll do by chance. So we'll say positive. We'll say good or bad. So we'll set this equal to a random variable, rand range between 0 and 2, because this, remember, 2 is exclusive, so we'll go between 0 and 1. And then we'll say if our variable, good or bad, is equal to 0, then we'll start off with some good things. So then we'll say good events right here.
Wait, when you did good or bad, is that always supposed to be a 0?
That's supposed to be, oh, I'll change that. We'll just say determine event. We'll say determine event.
Yeah.
And then if it's a 0, then it's going to be a good event. Otherwise, we know we'll have a bad event happening in the person's life. So let's start off with some good events. Well, let's see. We can talk about firstly with their feelings.
Birthday.
What's that, Ayush?
They get a promotion.
A good event could be like a birthday promotion.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
So
like a job promotion or something.
This is gonna take like a long time. Ugh, this project.
yeah, which is why we're going to sort of limit the amount of
Cue elevator music.
All right, so we'll do like, I don't know, 3 or 4 good events and the 3 bad events, we should be able to finish up. Because it's going to be pretty, you'll see the pattern once we start going. So we'll say determine which type of good event is going to happen. So we'll say determine good event. We'll do 3 separate types, all right? So we'll say firstly, if the good event is equal to 0, the variable, then we'll say this could be an event which affects their feelings. So this could be the promotion you guys are talking about. So we'll do, we can have a print statement and say just congratulations, you have been promoted in your job. Your economic status will probably rise because, right, you're probably gonna get paid more. Your economic status will rise, and your
Responsibilities.
Yeah, that's getting a bit too complicated. We can't handle everything in a person's life, but that would probably happen, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So we have that, and now what we have to do is.
Well, I have a question.
Yep.
So like for this example, you did it for economic status, right? Are you gonna like when you like last 2 weeks in like the first line of code or first paragraph of code, you did economic status, like feeling status? Are you gonna do like one example for each one?
Probably not, just because of time. But if you'd like, you'll see the pattern. We're gonna do if-else statements and you can go ahead.
Okay.
Yep. Now, one thing which we have now done, we determined that event right, but now we actually have to. My grammar. Thank you for fixing that. Whoever did that.
That was me.
Thank you, Amelia. Now we have to actually change, aka change the values of the people. Use the mutator function, right? Now, in order to do that, we have to go back up here into our class and create some mutators which will allow us to do that. So I'm going to start saying mutators below. And now we have to create some functions which will allow us to actually change our instance variable values. So what I'm going to do is say def change economic status, because promotion, they're probably going to change their economic status, right? And then what we can say is that they're going to increase by 1 economic status. So we can say is new economic. Oh.
Oops, sorry.
That's good. Let's be careful, Rishi, when we're typing, right?
No, there's lag, sorry.
All good, all good. So we'll say new economic status, that is going to be equal to whatever their existing economic status was, plus 1. And then we're going to return the new economic status. Quick recap. Who can tell me why this is a mutator?
It changes the value.
The accessor and the variable.
Yep. 100% right. So we're going to have to probably use that mutator. Now, one thing is right now, you can probably see that we're going through these 10 days, but in our population array, we have 100 people. How do we access those 100 people? And the way we're going to do that is use another loop. And the way we're going to do that is use another loop in order to go through each and every single person, because each person has the possibility of having a good event or a bad event happen to them. So this is a new concept which we've likely used before, called a nested loop. A nested loop, guys, is what the name applies. It's a loop inside of a loop. And the way we're going to do that is say for, we'll do y in range of our population array. So the length of our population array. And then what I'm going to do is comment in, tab in all this code. Now let's take a moment to realize what is going on right here. Firstly, we have a for loop, which is representing the 10 days. This will go through day 1, day 2, day 3. Now this for loop inside the nested for loop, this is responsible for going through our 100 people. So we're starting out at day 1. We have a line of 100 people outside, right? Each person has to experience a good or a bad event, and then something needs to happen to them, right? So in order to do that, we have to have every single person walk through the door and have something happen to them. And only when every single person has had something experienced, then we go on to the next day. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, but so how are you gonna manage, like you're doing like last time I heard like Vishini, his code, he did like a def inside a def. Is this something like the for?
So we're not going to be doing a def inside of a def. We're doing a for loop inside of a for loop. And that is a vocab term. It's called a nested, sort of like a, nested because you're inside of something else, you know what I mean? So it's a nested for loop. And once again, you can think about it like with your families. You all start off a new day. Tomorrow you're going to wake up. It's going to be a new day, right? Everybody in their individual lives have certain events which happen to them. And then at the end of the day, you go to sleep and then you wake up and the whole cycle repeats, right? So for a day to pass by, every single person needs to have something happen in their life is the main idea, the best way to think about it. All right, so now that we can actually access our people, what we can do is start manipulating some of their economic status and seeing how that affects their feelings and health as well. So what we can do is say the population array at the current index, the circle of life. Yes, it does move with solid chase. And then we'll say dot. Now this is where we're going to call our mutator and say change their economic status. And this will up their economic status by 1 and change how they are doing. Alrighty. Now, what we're going to do is add another, we can add another event. We'll say another good event. Who has an idea?
You buy a new car.
Birthday is too minimalistic. I think you should do like something like the job one. Maybe like
Something that can happen like every day without it only like being like one.
maybe your aunt.
You find a
like-
dollar bill. You found a dollar bill on the sidewalk.
Why can I find
Maybe one of your relatives got a baby or something.
How would I guess I
Well, you celebrate if you get a baby, remember?
oh yeah.
Well, the dollar bill is a cool, we can do that and the baby idea too. With the dollar bill idea, we can say is that that's going to change their
Economic.
feelings. Yep. And then at the end of the day, we'll look at how, right now, what we're going to do is do everything which doesn't involve health. And then we'll see how health is affected at the end. So stay tuned for that.
Wouldn't that also affect economic status?
If in real life, Chase, it probably would, but just for timing and coding purposes, we'll say it only affects one thing for this product, all right?
And also in real life, like $1 would not change your whole economic status.
It does for me.
Let's just say that's a.
Quarter of my savings.
Yeah, $100 bill.
Yeah.
Let's just say $100 bill.
That's really unfortunate if you get $100 bill.
Well, we got to create a new mutator now to change the feelings when that event happens, finding a dollar bill. Chase's level will increase by 5, but we'll say that their level of excitement.
We're gonna do a new feeling status?
Yeah, so we're going to change their feelings, yep. And now in this mutator, what I'm going to do is say that we're going to pass in a separate parameter to determine if it's going to be a positive or a negative shift. So what I'm going to do is say the effect. This will be the parameter which we're going to pass in. Let's not type in any code, guys. Yep, all right. So I'll say if the parameter we'll pass in is 0 or a 1. So if the effect is equal to a 0, then that means that their feeling is going to be positively changed. So we'll say create a variable, say new feeling, that's equal to 0 for now. And then we'll say that if they find a dollar bill, Chase will make them a happy person. Otherwise, if the effect is negative, then they could be, we got sad, anxious. We'll make them anxious if they don't find a dollar bill.
You're gonna be anxious about not finding a dollar bill.
Yes. Or if you guys like, what we can also do is just make a random. It could be a random if they don't find anything. So random.randrange. Instead of being happy, there'll be 1 through.
Okay, I have to leave, so bye.
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 All right, so now we can do that and go back towards our else if statement and say the population array, the person we're currently looking at, change their feelings. And this time we'll say it's a positive or 0. Alrighty, and then we'll do one last positive event. We'll say this will be one which impacts your educational status. You've graduated From school or from
I mean, you can't rapidly graduate.
yeah,
So-
exactly. I was thinking about that. So we'll say you've made it past another day of school.
But wouldn't that happen every day?
Yeah, that's what I'm contemplating right
I
now.
don't know. Some days I barely survive
Let's
school.
see. You get 10. You get
How is you
coupon.
passed another day at school achievement?
We
'Cause
got
that depends on what day you are in the school year. Like if you're like in the starting, you'll be like, oh, but like if you're like in May, like right now you're nearing the end, then it might be like good.
We'll do something with COVID. We'll say that
It has to be an independent. We can't do. You can't. Let's say you tested negative for COVID.
yeah. So we'll say definitely this ensures like 100.
Can people stop like just typing nonsense on the code? Cause someone just said like I'm here in one of the lines.
Yeah, let's not add any code on random words. So we'll do with the COVID thing. We'll say that even if you are already negative, well, like this is going to be 100% sure that if you're positive, in some cases you get the vaccine, you are no longer positive for COVID for that day, assuming you don't do anything crazy, go outside and do a concert like people are going to now.
Now, what if they do something crazy? That should be like another part. Like we need to have two people, and the other one's like the crazy one that does the exact opposite of what you think they would.
Well, we'll just use the parameter idea again. We'll say if the effect is positive, then there, I'll make a new variable, call it COVID status. That's gonna be equal to, we'll make it, what do we have? 0 is no, and then 1 is yes. All right, so if the effect is negative, then return. Or if we're trying to simplify the code we have to write, we can just return that the new COVID status, it'll be equal to the effect, right? If you think about it, because we're either going to pass in a 0 or a 1, the new COVID status, it can either be a 0 or a 1. So reducing the amount of code we got to write. So return new COVID status. And then we'll have to go back towards our code and change it. So we'll say population array at whoever we're looking at, change COVID status. Now they got no more COVID. Yay. And then what I'm going to do is go back to the economic status, what we had, and just add that parameter of the effect. Is going to be a positive or a negative, because we'll see how the negatives play out. It will be quite the opposite. So what I'll say is if effect equals 0, it'll be a positive change.
Hey, there's a error on line 80. Oh wait, no, 89 now.
89. I see
Yeah.
one on number 2 and 86.
Oh,
They
well,
should-
he added a few lines, so it moved down to
Yeah.
or 90 actually now.
They made that.
All right. Well, I'll take a look at that once we get to the error. But like I said, with our parameter, if it's a good effect, then their economic status rises by 1. But if it's a bad one, which we'll go to right now, their economic status will decrease by 1. Other than that, I think we have the cases for all of them. Okay, yeah. So 162.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. We don't have line 162. Line 161. What the heck? Oh, I think the gray thing.
Is it because we have nothing in here?
Tons of stuff. Just click run.
Okay, looks like our indentations. Guys, a quick reminder, remember, let's not go through the actual copy when we're going. Let's see.
I think.
Yeah, it says dead high new econo.
That's weird. I'm gonna try to delete the dead hi new Kano. Okay, yeah.
All right, we'll keep on. Oh, this should not be. Okay, there we go. That should be.
I think standing is making the difference. Okay, wait.
I think our indentations somewhere have gotten mixed up, but we'll take a look at that again. But that shouldn't affect our other. Oh, there we go. Okay, all right, great.
Yeah.
Oh my.
They don't have line 160. Unless somebody spaced it.
Somewhere our
Oh
space
no,
got messed up.
it's not the code's fault. It's Replic's fault.
All right, well, we can still go with our code. We'll take a look afterwards what's happening right here. But the idea is still the same, guys. Now going towards our bad events, which can happen, and we'll wrap up with these. So,
the error that we're getting is that there's nothing after the else in the bad event. We'll have to do put in a line of code for that.
okay, that makes much more sense. All right, good. So now what we can do, guys, is going to be similar idea. We're going to determine which type of bad event will it be. We'll do 3 bad events once again.
You got fired.
Yep.
How come negative is so much easier to find than positive?
So we'll say print. Congratulations, you got fired. No,
Yeah, please do that.
you just
Take that.
your economic status will take a dip. Will fall. Good luck in the future.
Hey, what? No, when you put the part, sorry, you just got fired. That kind of sounds weird. I think you should say like you should. It's like it's kind of sounds ironic because before you said like congratulations, you got fired.
Well, this is ironic.
It's better.
Ironic situation. We'll say okay. So once the text doesn't really matter in this case, but if they do get fired, their economic status will change. So we gotta use the mutator once again to change their economic status. And this time the effect will be negative. So we're gonna pass in the parameter of 1. This will decrease their economic status by 1 as well.
So 2 more events.
And then determine the other bad event.
Oh, I know a good one. You dropped your phone in the toilet.
Okay.
That's really bad.
Once we were at this resort, and then we were in the pool, and my dad and somebody stepped on my dad's phone, and they slipped on it, and the phone actually went into the pool.
Oh.
Oh my gosh.
How was the phone in the floor first?
Oh, because it was an outside pool.
Wow.
Oh. Well, then it's that guy's fault. He didn't see.
Oh,
Or
bad.
was the phone so sleek and camouflaged?
No, it was black. And
All right,
the
guys, let's
ground
wrap this up
was
almost
black,
here.
so,
And we
you
can
know.
talk about new phones, which we're going to get and hopefully not lose. But we're going to change the feelings of our person now. If the phone goes in the pool, so then it will be a lesser positive feeling for sad, anxious, angry. And then we'll make this 1 through 4 because 5 represents being excited. And I don't think we're going to be excited.
Who wrote haha?
Chase did. It's typical Chase behavior.
No. Wow.
I don't want to become typical.
Last statement, guys, we're going to do with COVID. We'll say you went to a concert and
Convert.
COVID-19.
Wait, why did I put exclamation mark?
Well, you gotta be excited. I don't think they're gonna be excited. So let's
I
say
think it's more of a shocking news.
yeah, exactly. It's breaking news out here.
Yeah.
Breaking news. You got COVID 199.
Well, why did
No,
why did you specifically choose a concert?
It's 100 times worse.
It's a super spreader event. That's why.
Okay.
Alrighty, and that should be all of the events and all of the ways people are changing. Now, the events function is done, and now we gotta start looking at how the values which have changed are gonna
The
affect.
code messed up.
What's
Not
up?
anymore. Okay, fixed it.
Great. Thank you. All right. Now we have actually changed the variable values using mutators. We have to look at how those affect people and their health. Meaning we got to look at who's going to stay alive and who are we going to be saying goodbye to at the end of each and every day so that we can see who are the most survival of the fittest, right? And this is where we'll just also make the function and then we can start working on it more next week. But this is where we're going to create a function called evaluate people status. And this will be responsible for taking a look at the variables such as the COVID-19 status. If you're at a 1, we might have to say goodbye. If your economic status is going very low, that might have some effect as well, along with your feelings. Taking a look at how all those things are going to change with your age. We can take a look at if you're like above 90 and have COVID-19, that might have an effect. And we're going to have to start deleting, aka removing people from our object array and saying goodbye, hasta la vista to some of the people. So that is going to be the focus for next week. This is what we're going to pick up, looking at who will survive. So stay tuned for that. And then next 2 weeks, I guess a quick plan. Next week, finish this up, and then the 5th week, add some finishing touches and see who is the most, who survived the longest time, which one were people. So that is.
Which we already know the answer to. It would be me.
Ooh,
Wow.
Are you
that's
sure?
a statement.
Are you sure, Chase? Because I am smart.
Well, we'll have to see.
173 syntax error.
Thank you, Amelia. We'll take a look at what happened.
I think they mean standing, the gray letters.
Here, now it won't show a syntax error. Try now.
Okay.
Magic.
No, it
There you
still
go.
shows it.
Give it like 2 minutes and it won't.
Mission update. All right, guys. Well, that takes us till the end of this week's project development, where we added a bunch more code towards our population simulation. Like I said, we got a plan set out for the next 2 weeks, and we'll see. Will it be Chase or Rishi who's going to survive till the end, or one of our other people? The thousands of names we got in our names array. Other than that, guys, remember this Friday we do not have gaming hour, but next week we will, along with the introduction of our new courses coming up in June and July. So stay excited for that. Other than that, guys, tomorrow's going to be at 70 degrees, so go outside, have some fun. Take care. See you guys.
Bye. Thank you.
I just have one last question.